Well, here's another offbeat question, and then we'll get back onto some movie ones. But Dana Lou Lane asks, will you sing for us?
Will I sing right now? You know what I'll sing is I'll sing a little song that I was singing yesterday when I was doing press up in San Francisco. Open up those pearly gates, California, here I come. And so much for the singing. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Asking,
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Let's see.
I can't imagine how the Avatar sounds.
Avatar sounds perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Perfect pitch.
Now, cool here. We have another question. It looks like it's E. Douglas C. Swindenhurst. Bruce, is it harder doing action scenes now? How did you get into shape? So it's a two-part question.
Weight training on a regular basis, cardio just about daily. The idea really was not necessarily that I wanted to look like I was in shape or that I wanted to look chiseled, because I never really take my shirt off in the film. But I needed to get my muscles big enough to protect my bones, so when I was diving off of things onto the concrete floor, my bones wouldn't break.
Mm-hmm.
Less vanity and more safety, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see here. We have another question.
I just wanted to say that this is actually a very cool way to interact with not only with my fans, but to talk about the film, talking with doing classic interviews and talking to reporters and people that have done it over and over for years, and talk about films and talk about at least over 300 films every year. Reporters tend to get jaded and lose interest fairly quickly.
Well, that's actually really nice to hear, because, I mean, that's what's so unique about Second Life, and I actually have a lot of those questions here. It's like, hey, why Second Life, and why ain't it cool? And it's a really, really neat outlet, and it's just growing bigger, bigger, and bigger by the minute.
It really is, and it's where I get my news. It's how I communicate. Easily 70% of the time, I have to remind myself to actually pick up the phone and make a phone call when I want to talk to people. But I don't even watch the news on TV anymore. I haven't watched it for years.
Is that just because there's just nothing good to watch?
Because it's all sensationalized. I think everything has become entertainment, including the news. Mm-hmm. Everything's entertainment. Sports, the news. It's all been, ever since they've come up with digital television and the 500 channel concept. Especially the news outlets have had to compete at a much more strenuous level, and the only way they can do that is through sensationalized media. And the truth is more often than not optional.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have another question here from Andrew Miles.
Okay.
Will there be a Die Hard 5, and would you consider filming it in Mexico?
Well, it would have to be story-driven. I would definitely consider doing Die Hard 5. I would consider doing it anywhere. I would prefer to shoot in the United States. I think Die Hard has always been an American franchise. I'm certainly not opposed to shooting it in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. I have one here from Tew Turok. Question, Bruce. Could we hear you say Yippee-ki-yay, Denmark? I would love that! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. He would love it.
Outstanding. Yippee-ki-yay, Denmark. And for everybody else out there, I don't know if you'll have to bleep this out, but yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Sounds much better than me saying it, that's for sure.
There you go.
Cool. So I have Aleron Ryder here.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Bruce. You've done various kinds of movies over the years, including voiceovers and animated films. Movie making in Second Life, machinima, is a growing movement that is getting better and more sophisticated all the time. would you ever consider voicing a character in a film produced inside Second Life or a similar virtual world environment?
Absolutely. I've been in a couple films that have been on the cutting edge of new technology. Sin City was a really interesting acting experience. It turned out to be a really interesting film. It had a really fantastic look, and as long as the quality of and the content were up to par than anything.
Cool. And let's see here. We have got Karube Nicolaitis. Karube is an anchor person in Malaysia. Let's see here. What is Karube's question? What if your avatar gets more jobs than you making films in Second Life?
Well, it sounds like an early retirement for me, which wouldn't be a bad thing. Given the fact that my avatar can my avatar look however I want him to look?
Your avatar looks exactly like you.
Fantastic. Then I would...
look out, Boca Raton.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Well, listen, Paco O has a question. Which kind of movie do you dream on to work?
That I dream on to work. That I dream to work on, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a really fortunate career. I get asked to work in all kinds of films. I get asked to work in small independent films where I can, day like Fast Food Nation. I get to do big studio films like Live Free or Die Hard. I get to work on animated films like Over the Hedge. I do voiceovers. I get to work with some of my favorite actors, and I've taken a handful of films simply because of the actors that I get to work with.
Who are some of your favorite actors, if you don't mind asking?
I got to work with Paul Newman. About a month ago, I had the opportunity to work with Robert De Niro, one of my all-time heroes. I got to work with Dustin Hoffman on a film called Billy Bathgate. I got to work with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn and Bob Zemeckis on Death Becomes Her. There's still a few actors out there that I would like to work with, but...
Do you have any actors, I guess, sort of heroes or idols of sorts that, as you were growing up or when you were taking classes in New York that you really admired and said, man, if I could be one person in this industry, who would it be?
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen,
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite McQueen movie?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a favorite McQueen movie?
There's a handful of them. I'd probably have to say Bullet would be the number one film of his. The Great Escape is another one. He did a cowboy movie called Nevada Smith that gets less airplay than these other films do. But if you can get a hold of it, you should check that one out.
Cool. Well, I have another question here for you. And they say, in this film, you face a female villain. How was that?
Well, I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, no worries. In this film, you face a female villain. And they wanted to know, how was that experience?
It was kind of weird. John McClane's never hit a woman. I've never seen a woman in real life, and fortunately, I never really made contact with Maggie Q. Although she made contact with me a couple times. It's odd. It's really odd. It seems, and John McClane, comments on it. That he's never hit a woman, but he's going to have to make an exception in this case.